Okay, hello everybody. Today's date is June 27th, 2021. My name is Leslie Williams. I'm going to play you a section of an audio that came from a video, and then I'm going to segue into the subject matter of this video. So, this is my second attempt at making this video. Let's see if this video stops recording. I'm going to record a 33-minute long video as long as nothing interrupts it, and my hands are nowhere near the phone. So listen to this. It's about 6 minutes long, and then I'll discuss what it is and make further statements along the line concerning the subject matter.
Not very many people are aware of is the truth of the foundation, the validity of the situation, and that's what my main goal is to bring out the validity of the situation, that these targeted individuals, these people aren't making this up. It can't be something that is, more humiliating to an individual, to give testimony in front of Congress about, withstanding abuses with biomedical equipment. So where would these individuals get this information from? It's not something that they have concocted in their head, it's not a delusional, situation that is self-applicative. But what it seems to be to me is that what Mr. Lawson is touching base on is 100% validation. What Mr. William J. Taylor is touching base on with many false cases is 100% validation. State Representative Jim Guest, Congressional Member Todd Ehart, all these people are backing my case 100%, and it's due to the validity of what I'm saying. MRIs and CT scans and CAT scans for finding these objects in my body right now. There's also another inventor.
How many, not to interrupt you, James, but how many devices do you have in your body, just so the listeners know what you're actually going through?
We've been able to notably find, and these are, these are not your simple, Verichip, like what the Verichip is designed to. The Verichip is buried in, the type of implant is buried in my right trapezius is designed to track me. When you're in that field of being tracked, it can introduce you into a field of propagation of several non-lethal weapons, infrared spectroscopy, microscopies. There's things that are, and that's what Mr. Larson was touching base on, is biomedical equipment. So these things are able to actually alter your nervous system and to affect you. But what we've been able to validate so far are 2 neural prosthetics, a tracker, as well as several other devices, up to 5 implants are in my body right now. And one is a tracker, and the other 4 are prosthetics. 2 of them are confirmed at the neural level, which means that they actually make a neurological access. So that's where the tip boat, term of mind control is somewhat applicable, but not so much in the bizarre realm that these, most people have bent it out to be. Mr. Olson has also touched base on the fact that they're able to throw remote behavioral, influence onto people and manipulate particular situations to where they can literally dumb down relatives around them and friends around them to where they will literally accuse the victim just overtly, just straight to their face, of things that these people probably wouldn't even have the intellectual ability to even understand what they're saying or the accusations that they're usually making. And that's what Mr. Larson was touching base on, was the fact that these people are able to manipulate whole situations with things that are indicative to gaslighting and gang stalking. Gang stalking is going to incorporate the individual players, these people are in possession of radio telemetric equipment that is able to couple with the human nervous system, or they actually have a subvocal, what you talk about microscopy. It's an implant that goes in your neck, and it's able to actually detect your subvocals, which a lot of people are mistaking for thought. You know, it's a preemptive, it's a preliminary of cognition. So, you know, I mean, with that going on, you know, as well as neural prosthetics, they're actually able to observe neural functionality, you know, at the cognitive level. And cognition, for listeners, is a preliminary thought process that happens to say beforehand, like if your determinations, if you're going to take a left or a right at a corner, and you're a victim of this technology, they're able to see that. Now, as far as full, you know, posterior cognition is like a neurological application of like a whole game plan. I mean, very well may be able to pick out bits and pieces of it, you know, but as far as, you know, forcing true thought, I'm still out on the fence about that. You know, I've seen some serious technology out there that, like what Mr. Wilson was covering, you know, that is at the research and development level of like Biotronics, the Alfred Mann Foundation. The technology that they have is just, it's inquisitive, it's fantastic technology. I mean, it's amazing. This stuff can be used to help people.
They actually just showed something like what you're talking about, but a little bit bigger of a version. It's a box. This guy had implants put into his spine. He was a young guy who's in a car accident. He's paralyzed from the chest down. And now he's literally able to, I mean, he's still working on it, and you see that, you know, with help, they're teaching his muscles how, and his legs and stuff, how to walk again, because, you know, after being atrophied for so long, that does require it. But this guy's able to move his muscles and stuff again with his own thoughts. So it's incredible what they can do to help you, but if they can do it to help you, the military never does anything to help anybody. They always do it to intimidate, harass, and eventually eradicate, because that's what the military does. Alright guys, stick around. This is the end of the first hour. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Okay, now, my fellow American citizens, what I'll do is once I put this video on YouTube, what you want to do is stay with that account for one, because I will eventually put some links pasted within that YouTube description that this video becomes. Now, I'm going to make another fast notation for you to, and I hope you follow through on it. The video will go into the YouTube, the YouTube account this video will go into is already got many videos within it. I just made a video on 6/25/2021. It's got remote neural monitoring in its title. It's already been titled. And so what you want to do when you go in and bring that video up through Exposing Court's YouTube channel, when you bring that video up, please do not walk away from it. You want to watch that video from the very beginning all the way to the very end. And the reason why I'm emphasizing this is because, hold on, excuse me. The reason why I'm emphasizing this is because I made that video right outside of a grocery store, and there are some periodic brief sound interruptions because of what's going on in the background with people pushing shopping carts in and out. Now, you're going to hear most of it within the first 10 minutes of it, so don't assume that entire video sounds like that. It does not. And even during those intermittent during those intermittent parts of the first 10 minutes when you hear it, it's still very brief. And you're still going to be able to hear what I say if you pay very close attention to it. Now, these sounds that I'm referring to are not long-lasting at all. Okay? Now, I got some sound going on around me right now that just basically, literally started right when I went to go make this video. So, and I know that probably sounds a little funny and maybe even peculiar, but any sounds that you pick up, that you hear in the background of this video and any of my other videos, well, let's just stick to this video. You can Google those types of sounds to sound harassment and gang stalking. Just follow my instructions, baby cakes, sweethearts, and monkey butts. And you should also make sure that you watch all videos within that YouTube account. And you should, please, I'm also going to make one more notation here before I segue into the subject matter. This crime of gang stalking is doing so much to me and my life. I'm preparing right now to move again. I've moved over 28 times in less than 2.5 years. Gang stalking crimes intentionally made me homeless from at least 4 apartments in Michigan and 1 in Tennessee. And I've talked about that in prior videos so in-depthly, so I'm not going to, make any more detailed statements pertaining to that, that part of the personal destruction of that part of my life. In this video, because it's going to take too much time, and I'm only making 33-minute long videos at a time, because it appears that that's what the only thing my phone really is allowing me to do. I can make videos that are longer, but then they start segueing into a second video because it's only allowing me to make 33-minute video chunks. So, alright, so I'm going to go ahead and segue into the subject matter and make a few statements so that you can see why me sharing that audio you just heard was relevant. Now, in remote neuromonitoring, which is a technology connected to gang stalking crimes, Google all my descriptions, and most of them can also be YouTubed. Remote neuromonitoring is a specific type of remote technology that can be remotely. The purpose of it is to monitor the victim neurally remotely from a remote distance. And I'm going to throw some descriptions out right now so that you can Google them as well, because a lot of what these descriptions you're going to eventually discover through research that the descriptions are all over the internet to be reported to be working in conjunction with the features and functions of remote neuromonitoring and its applied applications within the gang stalking program itself. The only way you're going to know truth, my fellow American citizens, is to listen to the educated, experienced gang stalking victims who disclose this information, so you can research what we state and then eventually come to a comprehensive conclusion. So, these descriptions are, but not limited to, brain-to-computer interface. All these descriptions are implants unless I say otherwise. BCI, brain-to-computer interface implants. Ear implants. Cochlear and or nano audio implants. You can also put audio implants up to the brain through the nasal cavity. Eye lens implants, remote neuromonitoring eye lens implants, nasal implants, ear implants, BCI implants, throat implants, prosthetic implants, which are also which are usually considered as stimulated responsive implants. EMG implants, which are usually put within the musculatory systems, but also stimulated responsive implants can be put in them as well. And then you got a whole host of other implants, which you'll eventually discover their names and their features and functions by going to Google, researching what I've already stated, and then you'll come across the terms and descriptions of the other ones. You should also research neural weaponry and 5G, as well as neural weaponry and wide body area networks. Okay? And Romola D, Everyday Concerned Citizens Reports, Neural Weaponry. That's all basically one conglomeration of what you should type in there, that last statement. And so let me kind of one of the main reasons why I chose to add that audio within this broadcast was because you'll notice that James Wahlberg, he made a statement concerning how concerning how subvocal speech, can be read out through remote neuromonitoring from a remote distance. And I forgot, to be honest with you, if he mentioned any type of implants that would assist in that. It is widely reported that certain types of electrodes and even implants are being put in the larynx, the voice box, and possibly even the 8th cranial nerve, which can help these perpetrators remotely decipher the speech signal processing, okay, of the victim, because we basically process speech, subvocal speech, through our vocal cords and through our subconscious before it is fully realized concerning the theme of the context of our structured sentences, which are our thoughts when we process internal thought. If you have a thought, I'm going to go to Walmart and get some bicycle inner tubes, you are also processing that language. You become consciously aware of it in your left brain through your conscious layer of your left brain, but the thought itself was born in your unconscious, subconscious layers of your brain, and it's also processed at the subconscious level in your voice box, in your larynx of the throat, before it reaches the before it goes up and then flows through the preconscious layers and then to the conscious layers, which is where you become completely aware of it in your conscious mind pertaining to what your thought is. So remote neural monitoring literally enables these satanic mass murdering animals. Remote neural monitoring and its ability to monitor your subvocal speech literally enables these wild animals, these raping, gang raping, human trafficking, murdering, torturing animals, and that's all they are, it's all they'll ever be, but they are also absolutely much more. When I say that's all they are, that means that these psychotic rats, these demented, depraved animals will literally never be nothing but the fact that they are depraved animals, using this technology for extreme human rights abuses and massive criminal motivations. They will never change. They don't even have the ability to change themselves because they're literally criminally insane. Literally, that is no joke, and it's no exaggeration or underestimation. Okay? The people who commit these crimes are totally criminally insane. There has not been one criminally insane genocidal maniac in this entire planet that has ever existed who has stopped himself from committing his own crimes. So always remember that. So my fellow American citizens, when it comes to remote neural monitoring and speech choreographing at the subvocal speech level, it enables them to be able to see what your subvocal speech signals are before they are then processed up into the conscious mind. Therefore, hold on a second. And remote neural monitoring, the last time I looked, which was years ago, it was reported years ago that it basically transfers information within the supercomputers that it's in at the trillions of flops per second. The brain processes information at the thousands of bits per second. So when you look at shit, just go to Google and type in the difference, numeric difference between what a trillion is to what a micro is. When you turn on the light in your home, when you flip that light switch, the light in your room will instantly bright up. You are not able to see with your eyes the transfer of that light from the light fixture to where it is then engulfing the whole room. You're not able to see that light travel. And the reason why that is because light travels 1 foot in 1 nanosecond, which is a billionth of a second. Your brain processes information at the microsecond, which is a thousandth of a second. So when you look at the time gap just between micro and nano, it's massive. Remote neural monitoring is deciphering this data at the trillions of flops per second. Make no mistake about it, my fellow American citizens. So, if you can determine a gang stalking victim's subvocal speech pertaining to the speech signals themselves, if I state I am going to go to Walmart, that thought was born at the unconscious level, processed by the subvocal speech as it's... I got this mostly right, so trust me, the gist of it is right. So when you have a thought, no matter what motivates it, it can be motivated from a need, it can be motivated from an unconscious motive. No matter what compels you to have a thought about anything, it is first processed in the unconscious and subconscious layers of the brain, and that's pretty much where it's also originated at in your subvocal speech pertaining to your speech signals. So remote neural monitoring is already monitoring all your conscious layers and your speech signals. So if you have a thought, I'm going to go to Walmart, at the unconscious level and how it's being processed through the subvocal speech. You're not even consciously aware of what that entire thought is through language until it transfers through all 4 layers of your conscious modes, which are your unconscious, subconscious, preconscious, and conscious layers. It's already being, the entire thought was already processed, through the unconscious layer and the subvocal speech before you even become 1000% aware of what it is within the conscious layer. So there's a huge time gap difference, meaning that they've already deciphered what your subvocal speech is before it even starts to approach the preconscious flow to the conscious mind. Why do you think that when you research remote neural monitoring, gang stalking victims' testimony online about remote neural monitoring, you will see many victims state that they're being harassed through voice to skull about the contents of their thought before their thought is even completed, and meaning that it's able to be done because, again, remote neural monitoring deciphers what your subvocal speech is at the subvocal level. Your speech is basically interpreted when the language of your when the unconscious and subconscious mind attaches structured synthesis dialogue to the composition of what your subvocal speech is. That's when it then starts to flow up through then to the preconscious and to the consciousness. They've already got it deciphered what that speech signal is before it even begins to flow through the subconscious to the preconscious, giving them a huge time differential. Before then, you are completely consciously aware of what that thought is pertaining to you processing it in its entirety. So, like, say, by the time the thought, I'm going to go to Walmart, gets into the conscious layer, the rest of the part of that sentence would be to get bicycle inner tubes. They're already aware of that entire thought process before you're even able to process the 30 to 50 to 70 and 100% of the rest of that sentence. They're already aware of what it. Then the artificial intelligence that is within the supercomputer is able to then take the contents of all of the structured part of that sentence, which is your thought, and look at its contents pertaining to the theme of the thought. It sees that you want to go to Walmart to get bicycle inner tubes. So then what it will do, as a result of it being programmed to do, is that it will then take other structured words. It will take other words and structure sentences so that they can then use voice to skull to harass a victim about their thought and transmit it back to the victim as that thought is being completed in the victim's mind in their conscious layer. So meaning that if you got a thought, I'm going to go to Walmart and buy bicycle inner tubes, while that latter part of that thought is still being streamlined through the consciousness, they're already harassing the victim about the thought through voice to skull. Because you got to understand something. Artificial intelligence, when you go to Google and you type in, if you were to go to Google and type in at Google, say if you live in Brooklyn, New York, and you type in at Google the name of a street in Brooklyn and the name of a restaurant or type of restaurant, like a pizzeria or an Italian restaurant. So let's say if you type in Italian restaurant, Brooklyn, let's actually say Mexican restaurant. So let's say if you're in Brooklyn and you go to Google and you type in at Google search box Mexican restaurant that serves tamales with spicy sauce, and then you type in disabled parking, and let's say disabled parking and but before you type in disabled parking, you might also type in burritos with a specific type of sauce, and then you type in disabled parking. Now that is because a person is getting on Google and is typing in Brooklyn, New York, Mexican restaurant, tamales and burritos, and then the name of a specific type of Mexican sauce, and then types in disabled parking. That's because that particular individual is typing that in so he can find a Mexican restaurant, preferably that sells tamales and burritos with that specific type of spicy sauce, and then for individuals who are disabled, so they can find disabled parking. Okay? Now then if you typed in a Google search box and then hit enter, Google will literally generate to you many different types of responses related to those specific keywords. So it will literally generate to you restaurants that have disabled parking that sell burritos and tamales and have that specific type of sauce within 1 second. Now, you're going to understand why I said all that here in a second, so just hear me out. Google's AI runs extremely fast, and when Google is processing keywords, when you press enter for it to search for that, the artificial intelligence that is running the search engine of Google, it takes those keywords and it combines them together so that the keywords are searched out. Those each specific keywords, and then it will then go and look for all the different websites that are online that also have those keywords. So it's doing all of that type of search algorithm, searches within 1 second of all those keywords. I brought that and then spit it back a bunch of websites within 1 second. Within 1 second, it's taking all that data and then finding all those search results and spitting them back to the person within 1 second and even less than 1 second. Now, why did I bring that up? Well, when you have a computer that's running on trillions of flops per second, when you turn on the light in your room, in your living room, that light takes 1 nanosecond, a billionth of a second, for it to travel 1 foot from the light fixture. That's a billionth of a second. Your brain processes information at the microsecond, which is a thousandth. If you compare what 1,000 is compared to a billion, baby cakes, munchkin butts, a billion, if I remember correctly, is 10 million. Okay? So we're talking about very, very, very fast ratio to how the brain processes information. So if your thought is originated in unconscious and subconscious levels at the thousandth of a second, and the computer already has it deciphered at the trillions of flop per seconds, that means it's already determined what your thought is, billions and billions and billions of times faster than the continued flow of that thought. So that's why it's able to determine, what your thought is before it starts to reach the preconscious and conscious levels, which is where you become consciously aware of what the entire thought is and what the subvocal speech thought is before it even begins to process up to the preconscious and conscious levels. Therefore, it's got a huge time gap when you look at the time gap between trillions of flops per second, billions of flops per second, to the microsecond, because of how slow the brain processes information ratio to these other large numbers. That is the time differential that gives their computer the ability to look at the theme of the thought at the subvocal level, look at the theme of the thought. What does that mean? I'm going to go to Walmart and get bike tires. It means that you're going to go to Walmart and get bike tires. So it knows what that means. It then will because their computer has got certain other integrated software within it that is set up and programmed to then look for other words that can then compose a sentence so that the victim can be harassed concerning the theme of the thought. So it will compose a structured sentence after it looks at the theme of the structured thought. I'm going to go to Walmart and get bicycle tires. What it will do is pick structured words that have their own specific meaning and then correlate them together to create a short sentence like, why does the bitch want to go to Walmart and get bike tires? Is she crazy? Okay? Because it's understood the contents of the thought. And the other integrated software that's in the computer is set up in a way to where it picks specific types of nouns and adjectives and verbs, that are critical in nature. And then it composes a sentence, and then once that composed sentence is composed, it will then execute a subroutine function of transmitting back to the victim through voice to skull that structured sentence, why does the bitch want to go to Walmart, to get inner tubes, before the brain has even processed the latter part of the structured thought to get inner tubes of the sentence of, I'm going to go to Walmart to get bike inner tubes, which is why gang stalking victims are literally saying they're being harassed about their thoughts before they're even completed. Because your thought is born at the subconscious level, subvocal speech processes it, and then streamlines it through the unconscious to the subconscious to the preconscious, then to the consciousness. It's already harassing the victim about the thought before the victim's mind is even consciously aware of what the total thought is. Go to YouTube search box and type in NYC Chronicles Remote Neural Monitoring and watch enough of her videos. And then Google my statements as well. Now, so, it can be very psychologically disorientating for a gang stalking victim to experience this in this way if they don't even know what gang stalking is. Because if you don't know what gang stalking is, you sure the hell ain't going to know about voice to skull. You sure the hell ain't going to know about remote neural monitoring, so you can pick this apart and see how it's done. So if they are aware of what your thought is, they can then instantly communicate with another person who's got an earbud in their ear, who is being told what to say to the victim before that victim can even have that thought completed in their own mind, and have time to then look at the theme of their own thought and then compose a second thought so they know how to reply to someone that's in their face messing with them. Okay? So if they have someone messing them and the victim then tries to form a thought about how they're going to respond to another person messing with them or something they're saying to them, they're going to interrupt that thought by crowding the victim's own thinking out by additional things they say and or composing their own structured sentence or being told through voice to skull about what to say that will not only interrupt that thought but will also give them information about what to say so they can then react to maybe something the victim's already said or something that will contrast to something the victim's about ready to say based on a thought that they're still forming. Okay, so, you know, if the victim says, I didn't do it, you did, before the victim can even spit that out, they can say something like, I know you did it, here's the proof. I know you did it, here's my friend who saw the same thing. Okay? Saw you do the same thing or heard you say the same thing. Okay? So, you see, in gang stalking crimes, gang stalking will use the time differential of the subvocal speech choreographing, the language processing in the brain, and then take that data, its contents, and then even use it in a staged event. Because the ones who are being used at you during a staged event are getting information from you in a huge time differential in order to manipulate the outcome of the staged event. Thank you for listening. Research what I stated, and you will see truth. Have a good day.